You ever hit that point where you're just done? Like, nothing's working, your bank account's empty, and every door you knock on just slams shut? That's where Chris Gardner was, and this is the story that inspired The Pursuit of Happyness. But before Will Smith ever played him on screen, Chris was a real guy struggling to survive. He was broke, homeless, sleeping with his little son in public bathrooms, bus stations, and shelters, while still wearing a suit every day, trying to make something of himself. You see, Chris didn't come from privilege. He grew up in Milwaukee, in poverty, surrounded by violence and addiction. But he always had this fire in him, this belief that he was meant for something better. He tried a few jobs, medical research, sales, nothing stuck. And then one day, walking down the street, he sees this guy step out of a red Ferrari. Chris asks him, "What do you do for a living?" The guy smiles and says, "I'm a stockbroker." That moment changed everything. Chris didn't know a thing about finance, but he knew one thing: he wanted that life. So, with no college degree, no connections, and barely $300 to his name, he applied for a stockbroker training program. He got rejected from most. But one small firm finally gave him a shot, unpaid training, no salary. Which meant he had to figure out how to survive on the streets, take care of his baby boy, and still show up every day acting like he belonged. And somehow, he did. He studied late at night in subway stations. He memorized financial terms with his son asleep next to him. He'd walk into interviews with confidence, even though he hadn't eaten in 24 hours. Everyone else had money, houses, suits, comfort. Chris had drive. And it paid off. He passed his licensing exam on the first try. He got hired full-time. Within a few years, he wasn't just another broker, he was one of the top performers at Dean Witter Reynolds and later Bear Stearns. Then he did something wild. He took everything he learned and started his own firm, Gardner Rich and Amp Company, from a small apartment in Chicago. The company grew into a multi-million-dollar brokerage firm worth over $10 million. From being homeless with $300 to owning his own investment business. But here's what makes his story special: Chris never forgot where he came from. He started foundations, donated millions to homeless shelters, and mentored kids from low-income neighborhoods. He once said, "The world is your oyster, but you have to crack it open. It's not luck, it's perseverance. The kind that makes you show up when nobody's watching." And honestly, that's what most people miss. Everyone wants success, but very few want to suffer through what it takes to get there. Chris Gardner didn't have privilege. He had purpose. He didn't have money. He had mindset. So if you ever feel like you're too far behind, remember this: a man who once couldn't afford a hotel room is now worth millions and inspiring millions more. That's not a movie. That's life. And if this story hit you like it hit me, do yourself a favor, hit subscribe right now. I share real success stories like this every week, stories that remind you that your rock bottom isn't the end. It's just the setup. And hey, like and comment if you believe your breakthrough is coming. Because trust me, it might be closer than you think.